What is sprint? This is sprint 2, right? Sprint means week 1, week 2 in particular unit. Okay. So what is today's topic? CSS grid. So actually I learned about flex. So what is the major difference between a grid and a flex? So flex is one dimensional, right? Suppose if I take some layout. Okay. So I will take this layout. Suppose if I want to build these two rows, first row and second row using flex. So how can I do that? I want to build these two rows. So what is the approach? Using box model. So what can I do? I can build two boxes like this. First box and second box, right? And then inside each box, I need to do, I need to build 4 child boxes again, right? So every time whenever you're doing flex, it is only one dimensional, right? You can't decide number of rows and columns at once. Did you get my point? We need to do each and every row separately. You can also do it flex wrap, but I'm telling the basic difference between flex and grid. But grid is not like flex, it is 2 dimensions. So did you learn 2D arrays in DSA? So what generally 2D means? What generally 2D includes? 2 dimensions includes X and Y. What is X and Y there? In maths is X and Y, but in reality is rows and columns, right? Both rows and columns. So everyone have an idea of what is rows and what is columns, right? There is no confusion in rows and columns. If you're having confusion, you can visualize a movie theater. Okay, in movie theater, you will see it in kind of rows, right? Not in kind of columns. So now let's try to build a basic grid model. Okay, so I'll try to build a basic grid. So what I'll do is I will take a div with id equal to some container. And inside this div, I will take 4 more divs. So for creating multiple divs at one time, there is one shortcut, that is div into how many times you want. Suppose if I want 4 times, I will type 4 and enter. Okay. Suppose if I want some 10 times, so div into 10 and enter. Similarly, how many times you want? If you want 40 times, enter. So you'll get 40 divs like this. Okay, so now I want 4 divs, so div into 4 and so now I built a div. Inside that div, I have 4 child containers or 4 child boxes. So now I'll write some styles for it. Okay. So what I'll do is for each and every child. So how can I catch each and every child inside this div? How can I catch each and every child inside this div? What is the combinator I can use? So I'll write some numbers inside this so that I can visualize. And one more thing, I'm using live server here. So did you know what is live server? I think I explained this in P class. So if you go to this extensions, there is something called as extensions here. Okay. Inside this extensions, you will find, do you guys know what Chrome extensions? Did you ever use some Chrome extensions, Google Chrome extensions? Yeah, so Google Chrome extensions will simplify some of your things, right? So in similar fashion, you will have some extensions for VS Code also. Inside VS Code, you will have some extension. So inside that, there is one extension known as live server. Okay. So you can click on this live server by retweak there. So you can install this, and to open that, instead of copying path, you can click on something known as open with live server. Can you see that? To change this browser, you need to change your default browser. You can't change the browser directly. If I click on open with live server, it will get open with live server. So what I'll do is, for each and every div inside this, I'll give some background color. Okay. So how to catch this div one? How to catch this first div? I want to give each and every child a different color, not same colors. I want to catch the first div first. So what should I do? So slash container greater than div of, can I write first child? Or I can also write nth child of one, right? Both are same. So I will give some background color. I will give some red. Okay, so I'm getting red color background. Similarly, for rest of the divs, I'll give some separate background. So for second div, I will give teal, and for third div, I'll give orange, and for fourth div, I'll give purple. Clear until this part? So I basically created a div, a container with 4 divs inside there, and for each and every div, I gave some background color. Okay. So now I will increase the size of this. So if I want to increase some space, some size of this 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, what should I use? I need to increase the width or height of it. So can I use something called as padding for each and every div? So what I will do is container greater than div. I will use some padding of 30 pixel. Okay. Initially it is 0 pixel. So now I'm giving as 30 pixel. So it is getting in, the padding means what does padding mean? Space between border and content, right? Space between border and content. So this is the border and this is the content. So now if I want to make this div side by side, so what should I do? I can also give length and width, but I'm not giving that. Okay. There is a reason behind that. I will tell you. I want these boxes to make side by side. So what is the method you know earlier? So for container, you are giving display as flex, right? So if you're giving display as flex, these boxes are coming side by side, right? So now what happens if I change this display to grid? Nothing. Will my output change or the same output? Same. If I write grid, so what is happening if I write display grid? It is behaving like a block, right? It is same like even if I don't give anything. So it is behaving like a block element. It's not converting to something inline, right? So now I want to make this, I want these 4 boxes into 4 columns. Okay. Now how many columns I have now? How many columns I have? 0. Why 0? This is entire one column, right? This entire thing comes under one column. How many rows I have? 4 rows. Now, whenever I'm telling grid, so I can specify rows and columns. Okay. I can tell CSS, I want this many columns and I want this many rows. So what is the syntax for specifying columns and rows? So there is something known as grid template columns. So this is basically telling that you want some columns like this. So it takes some n arguments. So the syntax of this grid template columns is it will take some n variables or n dimensions, you can say. So each variable or each dimension will tell the, so whenever I'm telling columns, I'm specifying height or width. Whenever I'm saying columns, am I specifying height or width? Width, right? Suppose if I give 100 pixel, 100 pixel, 100 pixel. So I'm specifying how many columns here in this case? Three columns, right? And what is the width of each column? 100 pixel. So now if I uncomment this, so can you see the change in the layout now? How many columns you are getting? You're getting 3 columns. And what is the width of each and every column? 100 pixel. Suppose if I give 200 pixel here, what will happen? I will stop the live server so that I can ask questions. So now what is the width of my first column? 100. Width of second column? 100. Width of third column? 200. If I specify 400 pixel, now what is the width of my fourth column? How many columns I will have? 4. And what is the width of fourth column? 400 pixel. If I refresh, so can you see 100, 100, 200 and 400. Suppose you want to build a layout consisting of 2 rows and 2 columns. So how can you achieve that? Suppose you want a layout consisting of 2 rows and 2 columns, size of 100 by 100, means 100 pixel height and 100 pixel width. So can I achieve that? So if I do 100 pixel and 100 pixel, so what I'm getting here? So I'm basically specifying 2 columns here. Okay. So I'm getting something like 1, 2, 3, 4. Why rows are forming automatically? Suppose if I give, why rows are forming automatically here? It is by default, right? Suppose you're having some 4 boxes. You're making 3 columns. So how many rows you will get? Guys, you should understand one thing. So this entire 1, 3 is 1 column, right? Can you see this one first box and third box? Is it single column or 2 columns? Single column, right? So whenever you're telling 100 pixel, what is 100 pixel here? Height or width? Width, right? So you're telling my each column should have 100 pixels. So that's why you're getting same 100 pixel for both 1 and 3. Understood? Suppose you want, so what is 100 pixel here? Width or height in this case? What is the height of my rows? What is the height now? Suppose if I keep 0 pixel, then you'll see the difference. What is the height now? Because you are giving 30 pixel, that is the default height, right? Suppose now I want to give some height to it. So what should I do? I should mention the row height also. So what should I do? Grid, template, rows. How many rows I have? 2 rows. So first row I want 100 pixel and second row I want 100 pixel. So now if I refresh, can you see the difference now? Both the rows are 100 pixel, right? So we are getting height of 100 pixel and width of 100 pixel. Understood? Suppose if I give 100 pixel and 200 pixel, what will happen now? For grid template rows, I'm giving 100 pixel and 200 pixel. So what will happen? What is 100 pixel here? What is 100 pixel here? Height of row 1, right? What is 200 pixel? Height of row 2. So now if I refresh, what is my height of second row? Can you see the difference? So grid template rows. So rows will specify height. And what columns will specify? Will specify width. Okay. So you understand these both things. Rows will specify height and columns will specify width. You can't increase only 2 and 3. Okay, there are some methods by using CSS, but by using grid properties, you can't only increase 2 and 3. Suppose if I give auto to it, what will happen? If I give auto, what will happen? No change. What does auto mean? What does auto in height mean? So rows means height, right? If you give height auto, what will happen? If you give height auto, what will happen? Whatever is the content, it will get that height, right? According to the content. So now what I'm giving for the first row, I'm giving auto. So what will be my height of my first row? Content height, right? Can you see that? Whatever content my box is taking, it will take those height only. Understood? Suppose if I give auto and auto, now what will happen? Both will take content height only, right? Can you see that? So now initially, whenever you're building any layouts, so what is the height at the starting when you're building boxes? It should be in pixels. And after filling your content, what is the height you should change? Change it to auto. So remember those things. You should not fix your height anytime. Clear? Same as the approach you followed earlier. You should not fix your height. So keep it as auto. So now I'll keep it as 100 pixel only, 100 pixel and 100 pixel, and I'll remove this auto. So now there is one more thing known as one more function inside CSS known as repeat. Okay. So this repeat will take two arguments. This repeat will take two arguments. So if you watch the notes, what is the arguments? Can you tell me? If you watch the P class or notes. Number of times you want to repeat and size. Now it is okay for you if you are having only 200 pixels. Suppose you have some 100 columns. So what will you do in that case? Suppose you are having 100 columns. What will you do in that case? Will you keep on writing 100 pixel, 100 pixel, 100 pixel for 100 times? No, right? It is not very easy to write 100 pixel for 100 times. So further, there is one more function known as repeat. So this repeat will take two arguments. First one, number of times, and second one is size. So how can I replace this 100 pixel and 100 pixel into repeat function? How can I replace this syntax with using repeat? So I will write repeat. How many times I want to repeat 100 pixel? How many times I want to repeat 100 pixel? Two times, right? So 2. And what is the width? What is the size? 100 pixel. If I refresh my page, I'm getting the same output. Can I use for rows also? Same thing. Repeat 2, 100 pixel. I'll get the same output. You can go whatever you want, 200 and 200. So you'll get 200 pixel. Suppose what if I want 100 pixel, 200 pixel, and 100 pixel, 200 pixel. Can I use repeat in this case? Can I use repeat in this case? So repeat can be used whenever the size is same, right? So I need to remember this. Okay. This can be used whenever we have equal size or equal size. Understood? For unequal sizes of for unequal width, you can't use repeat function. It doesn't work. Suppose if you have 100 pixel, 100 pixel and 200 pixel. Now can you use repeat? Can I use repeat for these two things? If I refresh my page, I will get 3 rows, 3 columns now. Okay. Can I use repeat for these two things? Instead of writing like this, can I write repeat 2, 100 pixel and 200 pixel? This will also work, right? So you can also use this repeat in this fashion, but this is very rare case. Okay, you will never do this, but I'm telling it is existing. Cool. I will give 100 pixel to each and everything. So now I want some space between these divs or space between these boxes. So what we used to do previously when we using Flex, what we used to do previously when we are using Flex. We have used something called as margins, right? But for grid, we have something known as gap. Okay. So this gap will specify the amount of gap you want between your boxes. Suppose if I give gap as 20 pixel. Now what will happen? So now if you are telling gap, so is it something called as something like gap left, gap right, something like this? You don't have gap left, gap right, right? You will only have margin left, margin right. But for gap, the arguments are row gap and column gap because it is 2D array, right? So gap is nothing but a row gap and a column gap. Suppose if I write gap of 10 pixel and 20 pixel. Now what is my row gap here in this case? And what is column gap? Twenty pixel. Now if I refresh my page, can you see the gap? What is row gap in this case? Gap between 1 and 3, right? Row gap means gap between rows. This is 10 pixel. And what is column gap? Gap between 1 and 2 now. This is first column, second column. You can also say in inspect. Suppose if I go to inspect and over on this, I think it is not possible for this layout. Okay. So now what happens if I give 10 pixel only? What happens now? I'm giving only one value now. What happens? Suppose in margin, if you're giving only one value, will it apply for all the sides? So same is the case with this also, right? What is my row gap now? Row gap and column gap both are equal now, right? So if I refresh, I will get both as 10 pixel only. So whenever you want to give separate gaps, you can write like two values, and whenever you want equal gap, you can just give one value also. That is enough. Clear? Okay. So now let's try to build the layout something like this. Okay. So how many rows we have in this case? How many rows and how many columns? Two rows and three columns, right? Yeah. So let's try to build something, a layout, something like that. So I'll write .html and I will take div with id equal to container. How many divs I want in this case? How many child divs? 6 child divs. Okay. So I'll write div into 6 and I'll write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm writing this once again because I want you to concentrate on this. Okay. So I'm writing styles. So for each and every div, I will take some colors. So I'll copy this and paste it. So for first, I'm giving one and green and yellow, red, blue, and for 5 and 6, I'll give different colors. And for 5, I'll give some purple, and for 6, I'll give something. So now I will copy this path and open it. So for 6, I'm giving 6. Okay. So basically I built 6 boxes now with div. So now I want to divide into number of rows and number of columns. What should I do now? I want to change into 3 rows and 2 columns. So I need to use grid. So I will use grid slash container display grid. And how many columns I want? Can I use repeat here? I want each column 100 pixel. Can I use repeat? Repeat 3 comma 100 pixel. And how many rows? Repeat 2 comma 100 pixel. And I'll also give some gap of 30 pixel. If I refresh my page, I will get those things. Okay, something like this. So I can also give some border if you want. So for every div, I will give some border. Border 3 pixel solid black. If I refresh, so I'll get something like this. Clear until this part, everyone? Okay, I can decrease the gap also. And this properties will work only when display is grid, right? If you don't keep display grid, what will happen? These properties won't work. All these are grid properties. It will be same like a blocker elements. Others, what you didn't understand in this? Copy paste code. I'm just copying the styles here in this case. The styles you don't know. Whatever styles I ordered, I just copied these styles. This is just copying, just styling each and every div with blue, green, yellow, and all. So now I want to move this. I want to increase some size also, so I can increase some font size here. Font size of 30 pixels. Himanshu, I already explained, repeat so many times. If you are spamming again, I will remove from class. I already explained, repeat so many times. Are you in class from the first, Himanshu? So I'll give some 20 pixel font size now. So now I want to move these numbers to the center of the div. So how can I move the content to the center of my div? Adding. So did you learn in Flex yesterday how to center an element in the div? Yesterday you might have seen this, how to center an element inside a div. So you need to use two properties, right? What are the properties? Suppose I will show you one example. Okay, I am creating a small div, and inside this I am writing Masai school. Okay, and I'll copy this path and I open it. So now for this div, I'll give some styles. I'll give some height of 300 pixel, width of 300 pixel, and border 1 pixel solid red. Okay, so I created a basic div. So now I want to move this. I'll also give some font size. Font size 20 pixel. So now I want to move this Masai school exactly to the center of my div. So what should I do? Someone is telling justify content center. Okay, so let's try. Okay, and align item center. So these properties will work only when display is flex, right? These properties won't work when display is not flex. So what should I do? Display flex. So now if I refresh, am I getting exactly the center of my div? Exactly. So the justify content property and align items property is used to make our content the center of my div. Justify content is always for horizontal alignment, right? If you want some horizontal alignment, you will use justify content center. If you use what if you want vertical alignment, then align item center. Now, if I want to, if I change this flex to grid, what will happen? If I refresh my page, any change in the output? So what is the takeaway from this point? What is the takeaway? So whatever properties we learned yesterday. So what are the various properties we learned? You learned justify content. And I think you also learned align items, right? So whatever properties you learned yesterday for flex can be used for grid also. Same properties, it will work in the same fashion for grid also. Justify content and align items property. Flex wrap won't work. I'm telling one of these properties. Justify content property, align items, and align content. Both, all three things. All these properties will work in similar fashion, both for flex and grid. So whatever properties you learned yesterday for flex, it will work in the same fashion as grid also. So now to center this, what should I do? For this output, I want to center these numbers to the center of the box. So you should use, where you should use this? We should use a container or where should you use? Parent. Parent means container. You should use for each and every div, right? Not for parent. So for this div, you need to write display grid, justify content center, and align item center. So now if I refresh, what did I do? Sorry, this is layout, right? Sorry. I'm coding in different file. So I should write display grid and justify content center and align item center. So now if I refresh, I'll get to the center. This is parent property only, right? Who told this as child properties? This is parent property only. So what is content inside this? What is this? What is this content? It is child, right? This content is child, right? What is the parent for this child? This entire div. That's why I'm applying display grid for the parent. You can also use display flex. If I use display flex, will there be any change? You can also do that, whatever you want. Okay, so now I'll show you one layout. So please look into these lines for 1 minute and I'll ask you some questions regarding this. So look into these lines, all these lines. We are going to discuss one method now. Okay. So how many row lines we have in this? How many row lines we have? Four, right? This is row line 1, row line 2, row line 3, and row line 4. How many column lines we have? Four, right? Row line 1, column line 1, column line 2, column line 3, and column line 4. Clear about these lines, everyone? Okay. So now from this block, I want four values. I will tell what are the four values. So from this particular block, I want four values. First one is row start line, column start line, row end line, and column end line. I will ask for particular block. You should tell me these four values. Okay. Cool. So now tell me for this E block at the center. What is the first value? What is the row starting line? For every block, there will be two lines, row starting line, row ending line, column starting line, column ending line. For this E, what is my row starting line? This is my row starting line, right? Will you agree with this? This is my row starting because my E is starting at this line, right? So what is my row starting line for E? This is 2. Okay. And what is column starting line for E? So column is starting at this point, right? Can you see? Column is starting at this point. So what is the line? Again 2. What is my column row end line now? 3. What is column end line? 3. Understood everyone? These four points, row start line, column start line, row end line, column end line. So this is the column ending line. My column is ending at this point, right? My column is ending at this point. So what is the line value here? 3. And my row is ending at this point. So what is my row ending value? 3. Okay, we'll take one more example. So I want row start, column start for this block I. for this block I. So what is my row starting line for block I? This is my row starting line, right? This is my row starting line. Can you see that? This is my row starting line. So what is the row starting line for block I? 3. Okay. What is column starting line? My column is starting at this point. So what is column starting line? 3. Okay. What is my row ending line? My row is ending at this point. Row ending line is 4. Okay. And what is column ending line? My column is ending at this point. So column ending line is 4. So what are the various values now? 3, 3, 4, 4. Understood? So now tell me for block D. For block D, what is my row starting line? See the line there. 2. What is my column starting line? I'm asking for D. 1. Okay. What is my row ending line? 3. What is my column ending line? 2. So I'm getting something like 2, 1, 3, 2. Understood? We'll take one more thing. Tell me for C. For C, what is the row starting line? One. What is my column starting line? 3. What is my row ending line? 2. What is my column ending line? 4. Understood? Abhishek, Kuladeep, I repeated so many times. So be attentive in class, guys, please. Quiz answer, not right. Okay. So now tell me for this layout. For this layout, tell me for what is the row line, column line for this layout. I want the values for fifth block. So tell me what is the row start line, column start line, row end line, column end line for the fifth block. Now the lines are not there. You need to visualize the lines. So this is row line 1, right? Row line 1, row line 2, and row line 3. Or you can draw it in the middle also. Row line 1, row line 2, and row line 3. And this is column line 1, column line 2, column line 3, and column line 4. So for now, tell me for 5. So for 5, what are the values? What is the row starting line? 2. What is column starting line? It is starting at the second line. So 2. What is row ending line? It is ending at my third line. So 3. What is my column ending line? It's ending at 3. So 2, 2, 3, 3. So let's see an output. Guys, I'm going very slowly. because these things are already there in pre-class also. I'm going very slowly. If your guys are not understanding this, then you're not really attentive in the class. Understood? So if you're not able to get it, you are not, your concentration is something else, not on the class. I'm telling for those who are not understanding this. So now whatever values I told until now, these are some child properties, not parent properties. So we are taking values for each and every child, right? We are taking values for each and every child. So these are child properties. And the syntax for it is, I will write grid area. The syntax is grid area. So now tell me for this third child, what are row starting line, column starting line, row ending line, column ending line? For this third block, row start, call start, row and call end. Yeah, only corner values. Yes. Row start is, the row is starting at this point. So 1. And where my column is starting? This is my first column, second column, and third column. And where my row is ending? I'm talking with yellow box. Okay. I'm talking for yellow box. 2. And where my column is ending? 4. If I refresh, is there any change in my output? No change, right? Suppose now if I change this 1 to 2, now what will happen? Tell me. Previous it is 1. Now I'm changing it to 2. Now what will happen? What is my row start value now? I'm talking about this third block. So initially it is in this state, right? Initial state. This is the initial state or initial position. I'll write POS. So now I am writing some final position or new position. So for this, instead of 1, I am writing 2 here. So what will happen now? So now my yellow box will start at which line or which row line? So these are 4 values, right? First one is row line, column line, sorry, row start line, column start line, row end line, column end line. Now, what is my row start line now? 2. And what is my column start line? 3. So where this third div should go now? Can you tell me? Based on the new values, where will my third div or yellow box will go? It will go to 6th box, right? Can you see that? For 6th box, what is the row end and column end values? Tell me. For 6th box, what is my row end and column end? Basically, previously, so this is my value. Now for 6th box, tell me the values of row end, column end, row start, row end, column end. For 6th box, what is row start? 2. What is column start? 3. What is row end? 3. What is column end? 4. So this is the value of the 6th box, right? Now I'm taking this value and giving it to third box. I'm taking that value of 6th box and giving it to third box. I'm giving the value of 6th position to my third box position. So now what will happen? My third box will go to 6th box, right? We'll move it 6th box position. If I refresh, can you see the output? Now my next task is I want to move this blue box in place of purple box. I want to move this blue box in place of purple box. How can I do that? So what is the initial position of blue box? Tell me. What is the initial position of blue box? Row start, row and colon. Row start one, call start one, row and two, colon two, right? I want to move this to fifth box. So what is the values of fifth box? What are the values of fifth box? Row start, two, call start, starting in first column line, row end, ending in last row line. So three. What is column line? Column ending line? It is two. So now if I take this value and if I give it to the first box, that is blue box, will my blue box go to fifth position or fifth box position? So now if I refresh, can you see the output? Guys, this is not place interchanging. We are specifying the place. We are not interchanging the space. Okay. The place is not getting interchanged. It's just changing. Now, is this method very useful when you go to large applications, when you go to large websites? If there are some 100 columns, will you keep on counting the number of column lines and row lines? Is it a good approach? Suppose in your application, you have some 12 columns, suppose. So will you go on counting the number of columns every time? No, right? So there should be some shortcut method for doing this, for interchanging the blocks. I will tell where this interchange of blocks is useful for you, but for interchanging the blocks, there should be some shortcut method or some easy method than this, right? So I'll tell that after a small break. So take some 5 minutes of break and come back. So some game like getting some blocks and placing it however you want. This is one famous game for small children. Suppose I have given you some bunch of these blocks. Okay. I've given you some bunch of these blocks and I told you to build this layout. So how can you build it? I've given you some bunch of blocks, some square blocks with different colors. So how will you place these blocks? Since I want 2 rows and 3 columns blocks. How can you do that? So think of I've given you several blocks with different colors. So how will you do that? So what will you do? Suppose if you want to first place the green block, right? At the top. So first you need to pick up the green color block. So how will you pick up the green color block? Around so many blocks. What is the reference there for you? Reference is color, right? Suppose if you don't have colors, suppose you have some names on that. Instead of green color, you have some color green or green on that. So what is the reference for that point? Name, right? So reference is some kind of label. In this case, it can be color or it can be a name or something, right? So it can be anything. Do you agree? So now let's try to follow the same approach. Okay. So for doing this, so what is the first thing we need to know? We need to have label for each and every block, right? We need to have some label, some kind of indication for each and every block inside this. So I'll remove this grid areas now. This method is not at all useful for you. So I'm removing this. Okay, I removed this. So now for each and every block, you need some labeling. You need some name to indicate that, or you need to some names to pick it up. So I will give some names for each and every block now. So for giving names, you need to follow the same syntax as grid area. So now you need to give names in kind of a string format. Okay. So I'm giving grid area. I think not a string. Not a string. I think grid area, and you need to give some label. So for this, I will give label as blue, BLU. Is this label for which block or which box? First box, right? So for similarly for all the boxes, I'll give some label. So grid area, grid, GRN. These names, these labels can be anything. It can be A, B, C, or anything you can write. Okay. I'm writing in a meaningful fashion. And for third block, I will write grid area yellow. And for fourth block, I'm writing grid area red, RD. And for fifth block, I'm writing grid area as PURPL. And for sixth block, I'm writing grid area as PNK. Clear? So I wrote some grid areas here. So now I have for each and every block, I have some labeling, right? Now what is my next task? Number won't work here. Don't keep numbers anyway. This is not pink. Okay. This is some label. This is not some spelling mistake. I wrote it intentionally. So now I have all the labels. Now I need to place these blocks, right? I need to place these blocks. So I need to place these blocks from the parent container itself. Okay. So for that, you need to have some syntax known as grid template areas. Okay. Inside grid templates area, you need to write in form of a strings. So how many rows you want in this case? 2 rows, right? So you need to write some 2 strings like this. First string is for first row. Second string is for second row. So now if I refresh my page, I won't get this output if you see. So now what should I do? What should I want in the first row? What are the boxes I want in the first row? So BLU, GRN, and YLW. So what I will do? BLU, GRN, YLW. And for second row, RD, PURPL, and PNK. RD, PURPL, and PNK. Now if I refresh my page, can you see the output? I'm just giving some labels and placing it in form of a blocks. So this git template is kind of a block for me. I'm placing it top and bottom. So what is the first step I'm doing? What is the first step I'm doing here? I'm explaining once again, sorry, listen to it carefully. What is the first step? I'm giving labels for each and every block like grid area blue, grid area green, grid area yellow. Yellow means YLW. It can be anything. You can give A, B, C, D also. Okay, it doesn't matter. Don't give numbers. So grid area RD, PURPL, and PNK. So after giving some labels, so now I have these blocks now. So I want to place this box like some kind of meaningful layout. So what this kid will do, he will take some, first he will take some blue box and he will place it. So that's what I'm doing. So grade template areas. So first what is doing? So first is taking a blue box and placing it. So he's taking blue and placing it. Second, what is the next box? We want green box, right? So what is the label for green here? Label is GRN. So copy this GRN and paste it. And what is the label for yellow box? YLW. So pasting the yellow box again. And now what is coming to second row? So what is the label for red box? RD. What is the label for purple box? PURPL. And what is the label for pink box? PNK. Now if you refresh the page, output will be same, no change. Now what is the advantage of using this method? Can you tell me what is the advantage? Suppose previously, if you want to change these 3 and 6 blocks, what you have done? Suppose you want to change this 3 and 6 by using row start, row and call end. So what is the method you followed? By using some column lines, right? Now what you can do? What you can do now? Instead of yellow, I'll simply keep PNK, and instead of pink, I'll keep YLW. Will this work now? Can you see that? Now, if I want to change this 1 and 4, I want to change this blue and red. What should I do? RD and BL. If I refresh, I'll get this output. If I want to change this blue and pink, what should I do? PNK, blue, BLU. So whatever you want, whatever combinations you want, you can do this right directly. No need of counting the lines here. Now what happens if I keep GRN and GRN? I'm keeping these both columns same name. What will happen now? So now what is happening? So first column is, what is the first column? In first row, first column, what is the block name? You have red block. And for second column, what is the block you're keeping? Green. And for third column, green. So now can you see two greens here instead of green and blue? Can you see two? Will you have two greens? Can you see that? Because these both are same blocks, it is combining. Gap won't work here. Because these both blocks are same, it will combine with each other. Now if you write yellow and yellow, now what will happen? So now will yellow block span for two columns? We will tell it as span. Okay, span for two columns. So now instead of 5, we will have some 3 filling the entire two columns, right? Can you see that? Someone is telling right, yellow, pink, yellow. Now what will happen? Now what will happen? So in second row, what is the first column block now? The first column block is yellow and last column block is, I think this won't work because it is, 1 second. Yeah, this won't work because you can't give something like this. You should follow either combining both the things or you can't divide both the blocks. Okay, it should be combined. And one more thing is you should know, you should follow some symmetric here. Suppose you can't give something like 3 columns and 2 columns for second row. For first row, how many columns you have? For first row, how many columns? 3 columns. For second row, how many columns? 2 columns. In this case, it won't work. It should be symmetric every time. Suppose if you give P and K, P and K, P and K, now what will happen? So someone asked some good question. Now where are my other boxes are going? Where my other boxes are going now? Where are they? Can you see here somewhere? Why is it going somewhere else? Because we are specifying only some rows, right? How many rows are specifying here? If I write 3 rows now what will happen? You're not able to see that. Suppose if I write 2 rows. So I'm saying somewhere here, but to want this, you need to include this in template area also, right? Suppose if I write 3,100 pixel, now if I add in template, suppose if I add again yellow, yellow, yellow. Now what will happen? How many rows I will have now? Third row also yellow, right? All yellows. Understood? In container, I change this to 3 rows. Can you see that? I change to 3, not 2 now. So this method we will use in some applications, not in every application. There are some edge cases where we'll use this method. So I will tell you where can we use this kind of methods in our assignments. Okay. So someone is asking, can we combine 2 columns? Yes, we can do that. Suppose if I write red, green, I will remove this. I will take only 2 columns, 2 rows now. So red, green, blue, then yellow, pink, and then purple. I refresh, so I'm getting something like this. Suppose if I write blue and blue, now what will happen? So now are you merging rows or columns now? Are you merging rows or columns? See carefully. Are you merging rows or columns? You're merging 1 and 5, right? What is 1 and 5 here? Columns or rows? So two separate rows, right? You're merging rows now, not columns. Okay. So I'll tell the use case of this. So the use cases of in real applications are very less for these layouts. But in some assignments, you might want this while going for responsiveness of the screens. Okay. So now let's jump into one more concept. So I will use this or this. I'll create one more file here, or I'll use the same file. Copy the path and paste it here. So I'm using the same file 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I'm having some 2 columns and then 2 rows, each of 100 pixel. So now, so what are the units we're using here in this case? What are the units we're using? Pixels, right? So what are other units you saw in previous classes? Percentages. So can I use percentages here instead of pixels? So here 100 pixel is with respect to which one? What is the parent of the container? What is the parent of the container? Body, right? So 100 pixel is with respect to this body, right? So now if I write, can I write 25%, 25%? So what is my width of each and every column now? What is the width of 2 columns now? It is 25%, right? So now if I refresh, can you see some increase in the size, increase in the width? If I keep 50%, 50%, and if I keep 50%, now what will happen? Can you see the output? It is taking 50% of the body. Understood? Can you use repeat in this case? Repeat 2 comma. What is the size now? 50%, right? Okay. So now let's suppose I have 3 more divs. Okay. So I have 3 more divs here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Or 9. I have 9 divs. I'll keep 9 divs. I'll copy 2 more and I'll keep 8 and 9. Okay. And for other divs also, I'll use some colors. So I'll copy these same colors and I'll paste it again. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now how many divs I have now? I have total of 9 divs, and I want instead of 2 columns, so I want something around 7 columns. Okay. So for 7 columns, so what is the width I want now? How much width I can take? Can I take 50% now for each and every 7 divs? So it should be something like 100 by 7, right? So what is 100 by 7? 100 by 7. Around 13%. Let's take around 13%. So now what is happening in this case? So you're taking how many columns now? 7 columns with 13% each. Can you see that? Now, is it easy for you to calculate every time? Suppose you want some 9 columns. So again, you will calculate 100 by 9, right? Is that easy for you to calculate percentage each and every time? Is it easy for you to calculate percentage each and every time? No, right? So if I keep 9, so what is my percentage now? Around 11%, right? 99. So if I refresh, I will get 11 divs, 11 columns, 9 columns. So instead of this, there is one more unit which is there in CSS that is known as fractions. So did you guys learn about fractions in your schooling in mathematics? Suppose if I have 100 and I want to divide this 100 into 3 fractions. So how much each fraction will have? I want to divide this 100 into 3 fractions. So how much each fraction will have? 33.33%, 33.33%, 33.33%, right? So instead of this, can I write 1FR, 1FR, and 1FR in fractions? Can I write like this? Instead of writing in percentages, I'm telling take one fraction each. Suppose if I have 100% and if I want to divide into 5 fractions. So what is my each fraction value now? 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%. In fractions, how can we write that? 1FR, 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 1FR. Now, instead of writing 11%, can you write 1FR directly? What is 1FR means here in this case? Each FR is how much? One FR is in this case 100 by 9, right? 100 by 9. So now if I refresh my page, am I getting the same output? So now which is easy for you? Using FRs or using percentages? These fractions will work only in grid. It won't work in normal displays, display flex or something. Understood, everyone? Suppose if I write 4, 1 FR. Now what is my fraction value? One fraction value? 25%, right? If I refresh my page, if I write 25%, is the same as 25%? Am I right? So is fractions working same as percentages, but in an easy fashion, right? Why 9 got shrink here? Can you tell me why 9 is only filling its content? Why 9 is filling only its content? Why it's not taking 100 pixel? We have only 2 rows, right? So what is the value of third row in this case? It is by default auto, right? By default, it is auto. So if I keep 100 pixel, now I will get 3 rows. Now I will show you some websites and tell me how many columns we used. So now tell me for this entire investors. So how many rows we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And each row has 4 boxes. So now tell me what is the fraction values for this investors page? Or let me take some small example before this. Yeah. So for this entire block, so what is the repeat value? Repeat, what is the how many fractions you will take? How many columns you will take? Can you take repeat 4, 1 FR? And for rows, what will you take for rows? How many rows you want in this case? Repeat 2, something, right? For this investors, what will you do? For this investors, How many columns you want? 4 columns, right? How many rows in this case? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So what I'll do is I will try to build this outer layout. Outer layout in the sense I will try to build these boxes like this. Okay. So I'll try to build 19 boxes like this. So in total 19 boxes there, right? 4 into 4, 16 plus 3, 19. So let's try to build the outer boxes and I will show how easy it is. And how much short lines of code it will take for you. So I'll copy the path and I will paste it here and I'll make this full screen. So I'll take a div with ID container. How many child divs I want in this case? How many child divs I want? 19, right? So I'll write div into 19. Okay. So I'll go into style now. So for container, I will write display as grid. Okay. And how many columns I need? For each and every row, how many columns I need? So grid template columns. How many columns? Repeat. Can I take 4, 1 FR? So 1 FR is with respect to what now? With respect to one fraction with respect to body, right? It's parent. Parent is body. Okay. How many rows I want? Repeat. 5 comma. I'll give around 400 pixels initially because I want to show in some kind of blocks. I'll also give some gap for this. Gap as 30 pixels. And I also give some border for each and every div so that you can look into it. So for each and every div, I'll give some border 1 pixel solid red. So now let's see the output. So if I refresh, can you see the blocks now? So how many lines it will take for you now? If you're using Flex, how many lines it will take? If you're using Grid, how many lines it will take? So you're specifying everything in these 2 lines only, right? You're managing both your columns and rows in these 2 lines only. You're not doing anything else. Suppose if I give 5, 1 FR, what will happen now? How many columns I will get? 5 columns, right? Suppose if I write 2, 1 FR, now what will happen? 2 columns and each column, what is the width of each column now? 1 FR means 50%, right? If I refresh, I will get 2 columns. So now if you see this layout, if you go to mobile screen, I'm going to mobile screen, I'll tell how to go this. So if you go to mobile screen, how many columns it has now? Can you see that? 2 columns. So for designing mobile screen, what you need to change in this case? Instead of 4, if you write 2, will that work for mobile screens? I'm giving you some understanding. I'll tell in detail in tomorrow's class when going to media queries. For medium screens, how many columns you want? 3, right? Okay. We'll see the same layout in tomorrow's class also, how to build responsive layout. Okay. How to build mobile screens and medium screens layout. Clear the basic understanding of grid, how easy it is to build some large layouts or some default layouts. So I'm giving it as 4 now, 4,1 F. So there is one website here. I think it is grid, grid generator. Yeah. This. So we can play around these columns and yeah. So there are some things here, fractions. So you can change number of columns. If you want three, it will give you three columns, each of one FR. If you want two columns, you'll get two columns. If you want one, you get one column. If you want eight, you will get eight columns. So you can play around this if you want. So how many of you played the game Flex Froggy yesterday? Is it easy or is it helpful for you? If you play all the levels of Flex Froggy, you will know each and every property of Flex. There is one more game for grid also. So you can try it. I didn't give as assignment, but you can try it, something known as grid garden. So we'll try to build some levels in this. So this is the basic level. So what you want to do is you want to plant these flowers. So how can you plant these flowers? You want to move this water in place of this plant. So how can you do that? How can you do that? So if you change the row lines and column lines, will that work? So what is my row start line now? I want to move this water to this point. So what is my row start line? So I will write grid area. What is my row start line? 1. What is my column start line? 3. What is my row end line? 2. Column end line? 4. Can you see the output? If I click on next, it will be passed. I think I already done this some of the parts. So now I want to move this poison now. This is the poison. This is the poison plants. I want to give some anti-poison to this. So how can I move this? So what can I write? So grid area. So what are the values for this? Row start is 1, column start is 5, row end is 2, column end is 6. Okay, so you can play this game. It has so many levels. Each and every level has some different things. So there are around some 28 levels. You can play around this. It's known as CSS Grid Garden. Okay, I'll also give the link if you want. I didn't give this assignment because I don't want to give an assignment. So you can try on your own, on your interest. So now let's jump into our V-session questions. So first one is grade coffee. So you need to build a layout, something like this. So how many rows and how many columns you have in this case? 3 by 3. So can you build easily using grid now? This outer layout. So we'll try to build this. So I will take coffee.html. So how many divs I want inside? How many child divs I want in this case? I'll write some container. How many child divs I want? 6. 6 or 9? You're confusing me. 9. Yeah, sorry. So div into 9. Okay, so I'll write some styles to it. So for container, what are the properties I need to give? Display as grid. How many columns? Grid template. How many columns I need? Repeat. 3 comma 1 FR. Okay. And for rows, I will give some repeat 3 comma. I will give 200 pixel initially. And after this, I will change it as auto depending upon my content length. And I'll give some gap also, gap of around 20 pixels. So now for each and every div, I will give some border so that you can look into it. 1 pixel solid. Okay, I'll open with the live server. Can you see the basic layout now? Now, if you look into this, is this taking the entire width of the body or only some part of the width? Some part, right? Suppose if I give border for parent also, I'll give border 5 pixel solid red. So it is taking the entire width, right? So if I see this, it's taking the entire width, but I want only some 70% of my body. So what should I do for that? What should I do? I need to specify the width of the container, right? So I need to give the width of the container width as 70%. So now is my width okay? Or I can keep 75% also. Okay. Now I want this box to be moved to the center. So what should I do? Margin auto, right? Margin as. So now if I refresh, I will get to the center of the page. Understood? I will remove this border now. You'll get layout something like this. Now inside each and every box, what do you want? So how to build these things now? Each and every box. So this is one div, right? Again, one div and then one paragraph here. And inside this div, you want these two things at the end. So what is the property you can use here? Can I use display flex for this? So inside each and every div, so I need one more div and one more paragraph. So you go to each and every div and write a div inside this. And each div will have some cappuccino p tag. What is the spelling? And then some price also. $49, waste of money. And then some p tag. And then I'll give some lorem ipsum. Lorem into lorem 2. Lorem into some lorem ipsum text. I'm not writing the same text. Okay. So now if I refresh my page, I'm getting something like, but I want this cappuccino and 49 side by side. So what should I do? Flex, right? I need to use flex for this div. So how can I catch this div now? Combinators. How can I catch this div? Don't give an ID or class, use combinators. I want to catch this entire div. So come from parent. So container greater than div, greater than div. So container greater than div will take me to this div, and greater than div will take me to this div. Why unchild one? Do I have any divs here in this case? Do I have one div or two or three divs? Only one, right? So do I need to write unchild again here? Is it needed? No, right? So for this, I should write display as flex. So I got now something like this. So I want this to be moved to at the end. So what is the property I can use in this case? Flex property. So I can use something known as justify content space between. So space between will give you space between the items. Can you see that? So now you want some space, some space between these things. So how can I achieve this space? What should you use? Padding or margin? Spacing between this cappuccino and border. Padding, right? Padding for where you should use padding? Padding for this tail box or padding for the content? Padding for the box, right? So I should use padding. So I will take padding only from left and right. So what should I do? So 0 pixel or 20 pixel. 0 pixel is top and bottom, 20 pixel is left and right. Did you get the output now? So now can I remove this 200 pixel has height? Can I remove this 200 pixel? Because can you see my height is very much larger than my content. So instead of 200 pixel, what should I write? Now can you fill in the matter for remaining things? So just copy this entire things and you can paste for each and everything. Okay. So it took hardly 5 to 10 minutes, right? For building this layout. You can add the coloring and all box shadows and all you can do it, right? Shortcuts I will teach you in next week, not this week, so don't worry. I did some shortcut here, so I'll teach you next week. So can you make this cappuccino as bold and give some color to this? How can you catch the cappuccino now? How can you catch this cappuccino? I want to catch only cappuccino. Can I do catch the same things? Inside this, I want P, right? Inside this div, now I want P. But how many P's I have in this case? I have 2 P's, right? But I want bold only for cappuccino in this case. Okay, I want bold for both. So I can directly use P. P and font weight as bold. Okay. So now I will get bold. If I want to color only this 49, so what should I do? I want to color this 49. So how can I catch 49 now? Can I use P of last child? Instead of P, I will use last child. And I will write color as brown or something. Instead of this, is there any easy method? Because I have 2 P's here. Instead of this, can I write P plus P also? Can I write P plus P? Yeah, you can try so many combinations you want. Clear, everyone? Okay. So now let's go to second question of the session. How many of you solved the calculator question? Calculator. This one. Using, I think using flex, right? Using combinators and flex. How many lines of code you took for this? Only HTML or entire code? How many lines of code did you take for this? So now we will try to solve this using grid. So seeing this, how many, so if you see this layout, so first thing is you need to build a box like this. So how can you build a box like this? So give some height and give some width and then use some margin top and text line or margin auto and margin top, right? And inside this, you need one display box like this and you need one more box for all this keypad. So inside this layout, where will you use a grid? In the inside this, where will you use grid? For which box? Tell me the color of the box. For blue box, right? For this blue box, you will use grid. So how many columns you need in this case? How many columns? 4 columns. How many rows? 4 rows. Cool. So let's try to build this. I'll go step by step. I'll minimize my screen a bit and I'll open with live server. Okay. So first I need a parent one. So I'll write ID equal to container. Before that, I will write some h1 tag, Masai calculator. And for this h1 tag, I'll use some styles. Color as teal. And then text align center. Okay. So this is my basic heading. And below this, I want a div. So I'll take container. And initially, I will take some height and width. So I'll take height around some 600 pixel maybe. And I will take width in percentages. I will take around 70%. And I will take some border so that you can look into that more with that. I think you will take within numbers only. So I'll take around 400 pixel for now. Let's see. Okay. And I want to move this to the center. So I'll take margin auto. And I think the height is so much, I'll take 500 pixels. So the basic box has been built now. Clear this part, everyone? I can also take some margin top if I want. Margin top of 50 pixels. Cool. So now inside this container, I should have 2 more divs. One for display, ID equal to I'll write display. And one more div for keyboard, right? So I'll write div ID is equal to keyboard. So now I'll give some style for this display. So for this display, so I'm trying to build something, this display. Where is this? Yeah, I'm trying to build this display now, this display blocks. So now I will give display and I'll give some height. Sorry. Give some height as around 80 pixel and I will take 90% of it. And I'll take some border, 1 pixel solid teal. 80 pixel is more. I will take 60 pixel. I want this display to be centered. So what can I do? Again, margin auto. Margin auto. And I want some margin from top also. So I'll give some margin top of 40 pixel. Is it okay? Okay, good. You can also take padding. Yes, you can also take padding for the red box. Anything will work. Okay, let's take padding only then. Or you can take whatever you want. Let's try to build this container or this keyboard also. So let's try to build this keyboard. So what is the height of the keyboard? So if I take this in percentages, if I take in some 5%, so let's see how 5%, how much 5% is, like 10%. Okay. So how much height is, how much percent is left for this keyboard now? 90%, so I'll take around 80% of height. And width I want the same width, right? Same as display. So I'll take width 90%. Again, border 1 pixel, call it teal, and margin auto. So I'm getting something like this. And I'll take some margin top also. Margin top 20 pixel. You are getting something like this because you're fixing the height of the parent. So now what I will do is I'll keep it as auto because I'm giving auto won't work. I'm giving in pixels, right? So I'll take 50. After that, I'll keep auto. What happened? 600. So let's take in terms of pixels only. 60 pixel, and after that I'll take it as auto. Let's now take in pixels. 400 pixel, 350 pixel maybe. Let's keep it auto afterwards, but now keep in pixels. Is my outer layout ready now for the boxes? So now what is my next step? Inside this keyboard, I want how many divs? I want 1, 2, 4 columns and 4 rows. And for 12 divs, total of 16 divs, not 12. 4 into 4. So div into 16 and 1, 2, 3 plus 4, 5, 6 minus 7, 8, 9 into or star mark and cancel 0 equal to divided by. Okay. So now how many columns you want now for keyboard? So first you need to give display as grid. How many columns? Grid template columns, repeat 4, 1 FR. How many rows? Grid template columns, repeat 4, so we will give around some height now because we are fixing in height. So we'll give some height. I will give some border for each and everything. So keyboard greater than div, I'll give some border 1 pixel solid. You're getting something like this. Sorry, heroes. Yeah. Can give 85 pixel also if you want. So I need to give some gap also, gap of 20 pixel. So then it will be 80 pixel. Okay, we can change this to auto now. So where we have fixed height, not here. So height as auto. And here also we can change height as auto. Cool. So now what is the next step? I'll give some box shadows. These box borders are not looking good. Box shadow. So for each and every div, instead of this, I'll give box shadow. And for display also, I'll give the same box shadow. And for parent, I'll give some light shadow for container. It is looking too light. Okay, let's give one more thing. Okay, and remove these backgrounds now, borders, border. Okay, cool. So now we can also increase the size of this. So font size 25 pixel. Let's see. Okay. And font weight bold. If I want to bring this to the center, what should I do? I want to bring this to the center, one to all the numbers. So same, right? So I can use display flex or grid and then use align item center, justify content center. So it come to the center. So now what you can do is you can add some padding for the container so that you'll get some margins at the top and the bottom. So what I'll do is I'll give padding 20 pixel and 0 pixel. I want only for top and bottom. Okay, so you can get something like this. What is left now for us? Color for these buttons. Okay. So for C, we want, how can we catch this C? So don't count all the numbers, just give an ID for this. So it's okay to give ID for some of this. So I'll give ID as RD. Okay. So I'll give RD background color red. Don't go on counting the number of divs and give nth child. It is not so necessary. For this edge cases, you can give IDs and classes. And for this place, I'll give some class is equal to black and plus minus then star into equal to divided by. So what can I do for this class? Dot black, background color black and color as white. And white should be for this also. Okay. So you can also add some border radius to it. So if you want, so you can add border radius 20 pixel. You can also add 50%, you will get some rounded borders. You can also add border radius for container. Border radius around 40 pixel. And for display also you can add border radius around 30 pixel or 20 pixel. Is it looking good? Okay. So in this way, you can build this calculator using grid. So is it easy for using grid or using box model, using flex, which is easy for you? Grid, right? So if you have that periodic table assignment as pending, you can try that periodic table using grid now. So now using grid periodic table is easy for you, right? It will be very easy for you using periodic table. So try the periodic table using grid if you haven't solved it yet. If you have already built it, then no worries, no need to do it again. If you haven't built it, so you can try using grid. Using combinators, you need to select using nth child. So without class, why taking all that stuff now? Okay. So I can select nth child 4, nth child 7, and nth child 10. Okay. 10 and then 11 and 12. Sorry, 13 and 14. So I can write all those nth childs and you can do that. So in this edge case, you can write class names. So no issues there. In yesterday assignment, yeah, you can use grid also. You can use it. In evaluations, there is no need of using classes. That's why I told not to use classes, right? In evaluation, did you guys use any class or IDs, or you manage only from parent? There is no use, right, in that. It is direct question. Yeah. If I'm giving this type of question, I will allow classes. Okay. It depends upon the type of question which I'm giving. If the question which I'm giving needs some extra classes, I will tell to use extra classes. If it doesn't need that, then I don't tell, don't use. Please import into GitHub. Okay. Most of you are having issues in GitHub. So I will show a demo of that also. So what I'll do is I will push all these assignments in, or only these two assignments, coffee and then calculator inside. So what is my sprint number now? So go into Mosaicos and I'll select some persons here. So FW20, who is a lucky person? Deepak Kumar. Okay, I'm picking this person. I'll delete it afterwards. Deepak Kumar, is it okay? Are you present? I will push it and I'll delete it. Okay. Yeah. So now we should go into unit 2. You're coding along with me and pushing also. Okay. So unit 2 and then which sprint is it? Sprint 2. Then I'll pick some other persons who has not pushed it. So I will take Suheb. Okay. Suheb, is that okay if I push it to your repo and I'll delete it afterwards? Okay, some of them are giving me numbers also. I will type FW20 0786. Okay, Gautam. Yeah. So now in which assignment, Gautam, why didn't you push any code to your repo? What is the issue? Where is yesterday's code, day before yesterday's code? Guys, if you're not pushing during evaluations, you will get directly 0 marks. Even if you submit on time, even if you complete everything, if you're not pushing to GitHub, you'll get 0 directly. Okay, so be careful with that. So now go into unit 2 and then go into sprint 2. What is the day today? Today is day 3. No, today is day 2 because 1 day is extra for you. Today is day 2 and I'll going into push into V assignments. Okay. So what is the first step? I need to clone this repo. So I will copy this link. So what are the steps for cloning? So I will delete the folders which I already have in this test web 20. I will delete this. Okay. So now I will clone directly in this Masai. So I will open a new window. I will open the folder and open this Masai drive and open. So now I will clone directly in this. So open terminal, new terminal. What is the command for cloning? Git clone and paste it. Okay. So I'm pasting it. So I should get this Gautam FW20. Where is this Gautam? Yeah, Gautam FW20. So now I need to change the directory to Gautam. So I need to do CD Gautam FW20. So now I'm inside CD Gautam. So what should I do now? You should not clone every time. I'm doing it for different person. That's why I'm cloning it. If you clone it for first time, it's okay. It is only one time step. So now I coded my files in different folders. So what you can do is go into unit 2, sprint 2, day 2, V, and directly code here. Okay. So create a new file, calc.html, and create another file known as coffee.html. So inside calc, paste the code for this calculator. You don't paste it, directly code in this file itself. Okay. And then go to coffee and then paste the coffee assignment inside this. Okay, you can create folders also. It doesn't matter. So now I will check the status. So how many files I have changed now? Two files, right? So one is calci and second one is coffee. So what are the steps I need to do for syncing up with GitHub? So git add dot acp, yeah. So git commit dash m added delete the assignment. What's the next step? Git push origin master. So now it's getting pushed. So now if I go to GitHub and if I refresh it, so can you see inside unit 2, go into sprint 2, go into day 2, go into V assignments, and you can see this. So you need to copy this link and then paste. If it is calci assignment, go to calci and copy this link. Whenever your IA or someone opens your link, you should see the code of the assignment. Okay. So you need to give the link in such a way that whenever your IA opens that link, you need to see this code. So copy this link, calci.html, and then paste it in your LMS. Understood? If it is coffee, go to coffee, copy this link and paste it. Clear? Personal or must? Are you present in the class from last 15 minutes, Sunil? You're asking very silly doubts. You should not add files like this. Should not upload files. You should use a terminal only.